So now that we have discussed about polymers, and we have said polymers are made up of molecules that join together to make a very long, continuous material. Many of you might develop a question that you may ask: is water a polymer? Okay, so I want you to pause the video and ask yourself the same question: is water a polymer? So I want you to write whether you are saying water is a polymer or whether you are saying water is not a polymer. And you write your reasons, you state your reasons why you are saying water is a polymer, or if you are saying water is not a polymer. Right, so let's look at water. And the reason why I'm teaching you this is I want you to understand especially the properties of a polymer. Okay, now let's look at water. Two hydrogen elements and two oxygen elements come together to make a water molecule. And probably, obviously, when it's only two hydrogen elements and two oxygen elements, you cannot see. It's not even a drop of water. It's so tiny. It's in gas form. We cannot even see it. But when many of these molecules team up together, then that is when we are going to see water being in liquid form that is visible to our eyes. Okay, right. So, based on the fact that hydrogen and oxygen elements joined together to form a water molecule, should we then say that water is a polymer? So the answer to that is no. Water is not a polymer. Right. Why is water not a polymer? To disperse the water molecules or to separate the water molecules, it's a very simple process that everybody can do. We simply apply heat. So we simply apply heat. So this represents a flame, and this water just has to reach this temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. And we all know that when water reaches a temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, water turns into gas. So that is how simple we can separate water particles from each other. So at 100 degrees Celsius, water turns from liquid into gas. Okay, but let us take, for example, plastic. If you take any plastic and you melt it at a temperature, when plastic melts, the molecules still remain attached to each other. They will not evaporate. So plastic is a good example of a polymer. Talk of polyethylene, just take any cable and any electrical cable. Of course, you have to remove the wires inside and you melt it. It will melt. It will turn from solid to liquid, but it will not evaporate. So the particles are still attracted to each other. So, based on those observations, water is then not a polymer. The particles of polymers, they take special chemical processes that have to be done in a specialized lab to separate them. Whereas to separate the particles of water, it takes a very simple physical process. to turn the water from liquid state to a gaseous state. That's why water is not a polymer. So I don't want you to be confused and think that since water is a molecule, is made up of molecules, of elements, of two elements that join together, it could be a polymer. Water is not a polymer. So go ahead, read more, research more. Remember, at grade 7, you are laying your foundation for science. So this is the stage where you must lay your foundation correctly. Once you lay your foundation correctly, you will not struggle with science. So go ahead, research more information, read more information on polymers.